or welcome back to my channel. I hope the new year has been treating you really well. With it being January, I thought this would be a perfect time for me to tackle my TBR bookcase. I even have some that aren't on this bookcase. And I don't know what some of those are anymore. So I thought it would be a great time to just pick them all up, see what they are, take stock. Maybe I'll pick one of those up next, hopefully. And then maybe also like tackle it this year and get it down to a somewhat manageable number because let's be honest, it's it's gotten a little out of hand. So, without further ado, let's get through my entire physical TBR. Okay, so I've gotten all of the books on my physical TBR down. I've counted them out, and it is 87 books, which I'm not like upset about. It's a little unmanageable, but it's not as bad as I thought it was. So, let's go through these books. And they're not in any specific order, just however I pulled them down off the bookcase. And because there is so many, I'm just going to try to go through each one quickly. Also, because some of these I've had so long, I don't really remember exactly what they're about or if they are what order in a series. if that's the case, then I think I need to go back and revisit the series. Let's start. These first two are a part of a series, and I did read the first one, The Deal. They are the Off-Campus series by L. Kennedy, the hockey romance series, if you will. I have The Mistake and The Score. The second and the third book, I did not get to them. Those are on my TBR. And then the next two are both from the same author, and I found out I really love her writing just this last year. I've got Daisy Jones and the Six and Carrie Soto's Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Daisy Jones and the Six, I think, has a TV show, and this one doesn't, but we did get a little glimpse of her in Malibu Rising, so I'm really excited about that. Then I have The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I read her other book, The Guest List, just last year, and it wasn't one of my favorites. This one is also a mystery thriller, and it's in Paris, follows the people in this apartment. It sounds really great. I hope it really is. And I have Alchemized, which I am now intimidated by because of how huge this thing is. And the pages are super thin. Like, I don't even know what kind of texture this is. It's like, and it's over, how many, it's 1,030 pages? That's insane. Look at that. That looks so cool. And the inside of the cover, maze. That's beautiful. I'm still intimidated by it. But I did hear it came from like Hermione fanfic, and I do wish that they had ended up together. So then I've got After Alice by Gregory Maguire, which I think is like an unofficial sequel to Alice in Wonderland. This is a gift because I loved Alice in Wonderland so much when I was younger. So then I have this series, and it's co-written by Jenny Han and Saban Vivian. I think I'm not quite sure what the series is called, and I know I read one of them, but I don't know what these. I know that there's these two: Fire with Fire and Burn for Burn. Now I've got One I Ate in 1 Year by Stanley Tucci. I absolutely love this actor. He's so great. Plus, I watched his TV show where he went visiting different Italian cities and trying out different foods there. He actually went to two of the cities that my family's from. So when I saw this, I had to pick it up. Then I talked about this one in my 26 books I want to read in 2026, the mystery novel following Nancy and Robin from Stranger Things. It's called One Way or Another. Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. I've had this one actually for a while, I think. It's like this woman wakes up one day and her husband's gone and he left a note, which seems intriguing to me. Silver Elite by Danny Francis. I keep seeing so much about this one. I believe it's fantasy dystopian, which seems right up my alley. I love that. I also love the back. It says, "My name is Ren Darlington. I've been hiding who I am my entire life. Today will be no different." The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I love her writing so much. I love the Shepherd King duology. I Didn't know much about that one when I got into it, which is kind of how I want to go into this one, not knowing much about it, because I feel like that's just the best way to read her work. Now, this is the third one in the series, and I know that there's more coming out. I've got the first two right here, which I did actually read, and they're just sitting on my TBR bookcase because I haven't found another place to put them. I've got Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. And I actually really love these sprayed edges. They're so pretty. But I know that there's other books coming out in this series, and I thought I should probably hold off on reading this one before so that I could go into the next one. And also, I'd heard really mixed reviews on this one. I got Sweet Nightmare by Tracy Wolff. I know that this is like fantasy, dark academia. Yeah, it says Calder Academy is a total nightmare. I really love this snake design on the front with the sword. Yeah, it says the scariest school on earth is about to experience real fear. Most schools are about being the best. This school, it's about being the worst. Calder Academy is where the rogue paranormals go, the ones who break the rules or lose control. And when that happens for vamps, werewolves, witches, and dark fae, it gets pretty freaking scary. That sounds amazing. I love it so much. Plus, it's got red sprayed edges, and red's my favorite color. Look at that. I love when the books do foiling on the hardcovers. They're so gorgeous. Now, this next one is by an author who's well loved. And I read two of her other books I have over here. It's Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I know I have not gotten to this yet. What is wrong with me? But I actually really do love this color. I love orange is becoming one of my favorite colors. It's still red, but orange is getting there. And I really like the inside with this like gingham, this like orange, pink, red gingham style. Now I have Wild Revenants by Rebecca Ross. I also talked about this one in I think the 26 books I want to read in 2026. But uh, all I know about it is I think it's a prequel to Divine Rivals. And the back says, I felt the tug toward him again, as if I stood on a shore at high tide. I was far from him, sitting in another realm. And yet I could not parse what was magic and what was my heart. I would know she was near, even in the darkness, and I had never desired to be a god, to wield power as one. But in that moment, I longed to halt time. It feels like this is going to be huge yearning. And then I have A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Leung. This I got for Book of the Month a while ago, a long while ago. I don't know why I never picked it up. Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. This is also on the 26 books I want to read in 2026. It's magical realism. It takes place in Hollywood. Hollywood, one of my favorite places to be at. Seriously, I love LA so much. And to hear magical realism taking place in that. Then I've got Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I haven't read any Abby Jimenez books. I don't even know what this one is really about. It says, after a wild bet, gourmet grilled cheese sandwich, and cuddle with a baby goat, Alexis Montgomery has her world turned upside down. The cause? Daniel Grant, a ridiculously hot carpenter who's 10 years younger than her and as casual as they come. The complete opposite of sophisticated city girl Alexis. And yet, the chemistry is undeniable. I don't know why it's been on my TBR and I just didn't even know what it was about. So this next book I've actually had since I was in elementary school, and I never ever got around to reading it. I think I read like maybe the first page and then I just never picked it up again, but it's still on my TBR. It's The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot. And I think we all know what The Princess Diaries is about. Young girl finds out she's a princess. Then I've got The Night Ends with Fire, which I heard was a retelling of Mulan. Mulan was one of my favorite movies when I was younger. That's really all I even need to know. This next book, the experience of going and buying this was very special to me. It was on like a family trip to LA, and we stopped at a indie bookstore, and it was just like a really nice experience. It's something that was close to my heart, and I really wanted to buy a book there, and the only one that I could find that caught my attention was Normal People by Sally Rooney. And I hear so many conflicting reviews about it. I know it's a TV show that has the guy from the new Gladiator movie in it, but it says Connell and Marianne grew up in the same small town, but the similarities end there. At school, Connell is popular and well liked, while Marianne is a loner. But the two strike up a conversation, awkward but electrifying. Something life changing begins. It's a story of mutual fascination, friendship, and love. It takes us from that first conversation to the years beyond in a company of two people who try to stay apart but find they can't. Now the next book I have is What the River Knows by Isabel Banez. I've heard this compared to The Mummy, that movie series, The Mummy, which was my absolute favorite when I was younger. So just hearing that was enough to make me want to pick it up. And to pick up its sequel in the duology, Where the Library Hides. Hadn't even read the first one and I knew I had to pick up the second one. Oh my gosh. There's character art in here. Well, I love that. Now I'm even more excited about these. And I have a classic from an amazing author. I've got The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. I heard this is her best writing. I don't really know. I read a few of her other books. Then I have Secret History by Donna Tartt. I tried reading this not too long ago and I got maybe a few pages in. And I think this might be a book I have to pick up on audio. I have The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I've heard a lot about this. It's also, I think, magical realism, which I don't know if I've actually read many magical realism books. Okay, now I have We Who Will Die by Stacy Clark. I don't know if that's correct. On the back it says, Survive the arena, save my brothers, kill the emperor. Two vampires stand between me and my mission. One who will shatter my heart, one who torments me at court. Let the games begin. There's a vampire in the book. There's like a 90% chance I'm going to pick it up. And then I got A Dark Forgetting by Kristen Cicerelli. I loved her Crimson Moth duology so much. It's one of my favorite duologies next to The Shepherd King by Rachel Gillig. And then I saw that this just came out. I think it was just like republished maybe, and it's got these sprayed edges, but I had to pick it up because I love her writing so much. And I have Rachel Thistlethwaite is Not a Villain Anymore by Emily Kremfoltz. Yeah, it says Guy Shadowfade is dead, and after a lifetime as Dark Sorcerer's right hand, Violet Thistlethwaite is determined to start over, not as the fearsome Thorn Witch, but as someone kind, someone better, someone good. That sounds really cute. Okay, now I have The Intruder by Frida McFadden, and it's really got these great spread edges. So it says, What is she hiding? Love that. And it looks like there's water droplets on there. That's so cute. Looks like that's so cool. I love that. Couple of these, like Royal Heirs Academy by Lindsay Duga. I did try to read this before. I got like one chapter in and I just didn't really like the characters too much, but I still kept on my TBR because I might pick it back up. It says, Welcome to the world's most elite boarding school, where three contemporary royals and one outsider vie to inherit a European kingdom. This one is one that I also started and I just couldn't get into that much. Maybe because I had just read her other book and I kind of needed something different. I don't know. It says, That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. And it's about this girl who gets in a car accident and can't remember anything. And this guy comes to pick her up and says that he's her father. And that's really all I know about that. And I know this next one. Why didn't I pick it up last summer? I'm going to have to pick it up this summer. It's One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I think this is actually the only Carly Fortune book I have. And I don't know if I need to read her other books before I read this one. But I have this one and I've heard such great things about it. And I have Night Weaver by R.M. Gray. And I think this is about pirates. It says, I will not let them take me. Says you say pirates like it's an insult. Yeah, it's about pirates. And I don't think I've actually ever read anything about pirates. This is a memoir by Lori Woolever. I'm so sorry. Care and Feeding. I picked up this book because I don't have very many memoirs, and the other choices I think that month weren't as appealing as this one. And I have Killing Cold by Kate Alice Marshall. I think this is about a woman who goes to visit her boyfriend's family. It says a whirlwind romance when Theodora Scott met Connor, wealthy, charming, and a member of the powerful Dalton family. She fell in love in an instant. 6 months later, he brought her to Idlewood, his family's isolated winter retreat, to win over his skeptical relatives. Stay away from Connor Dalton. Theo has tried to ignore the threatening messages on her phone, but she can't ignore the footprints in the snow outside the cabin window or the strange sense of familiarity she has about this place. I'm always for a thriller. Then I have Immortal Dark, which I also heard is vampires. So obviously I had to pick it up. And the side says, no soul can enter without an invitation. Oh my gosh. Look at these end pages. They're so gorgeous. The back one has like a little like letter, half letter. And the front cover says, seek mind above blood. And if you must bleed, use it as ink. Oh, can I get it to? I love that it's red foiling. We're making a little headway. The next one on my physical TBR is a nonfiction. Again, it's a biography. One of my favorite musicians, Elvis Presley. It's called The Rise of Elvis Presley, Last Train to Memphis by Peter Rolnick. And I bought this, I think, right after the Elvis Presley movie came out. It's also pretty thick, too. And I have this guy, Starter Villain by John Scalzi. And everyone kept telling me how funny this was, and I had to pick it up. And so I did get it. I have The Night in Question by Kathleen Glasgow and Liz Lawson. I found out is the second book. Yeah, it's on the back. It says, don't miss the first Agatha's Mystery. Do I need to read the first book before I read the second book? If you know if I should read the first book before I read the second one, let me know in the comments. The next one I have is a sequel to one of the favorites I picked up last year. It's Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. Need I say more? Follows Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And now I have Thorn Season by Kira Azar. And I picked this one up because it looks so gorgeous. Look at those sprayed edges. Sky, ground, and then it's like a courtyard. And it follows on the end pages. It's so pretty. And then look at that front cover. Again, I love a beautiful foiled hardcover. But this one says, an heiress possessing illegal magic who has more to lose than just her secrets. A harsh and glittering royal court where the threat of discovery lurks around every corner. Two beguiling and very dangerous men who might be her salvation or ruin her. It's rose season at the palace. The survival will depend on becoming the most vicious of thorns. Now, this next one I picked up because the movie was coming out, and then I tried reading the book and I couldn't get through it. I might still keep it on the TBR, but I actually might end up maybe unhauling it. It's Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. Yeah. Now, this next one has been on my TBR for quite some time, and now I know that there's a lot of debates and stuff going around with this author. So I'm not quite sure what to do now, if I might get to it or I might not. But it's Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I know a lot of people love it. And so sometimes I think you need to like separate the art from the artist, but I don't know yet. I still need to think about it. Now, another Abby Jimenez. This is Just for the Summer, and it's one of my 26 books I want to get to in 2026. It's about these two who think they're cursed in love because whoever they date after they break up, they end up finding like their soulmate or something. So they decide to date each other, thinking that it would work for them that way. And then I have The Revenant Games by Maggie Fuston. And in the back it says, humans are vampires' prey. They aren't supposed to enjoy getting caught. This one I did pick up, and it looks like I might have gotten halfway through this book, and I don't know why I put it down, and I don't remember anything about it except that I put it back on my physical TBR. The Selection by Kira Cass. And I know this is like a huge, huge series. So if you guys have read it and you love it, let me know if it's worth rereading and continuing, because I can't remember much about it except that it was a really interesting concept. It says, for 35 girls, the selection is chance of a lifetime. The opportunity to be swept in a world of glittering gowns and priceless jewels. To live in the palace and compete for the heart of the gorgeous Prince Maxon. But for America's Singer, being selected is a nightmare. It means turning her back on her secret love with Aspen, who is cast below her, and leaving her home to enter a fierce competition for a crown she doesn't want. I love the concept of that. And then I have Geek Girl by Holly Smale. But I loved the Netflix show of this, and I knew I had to pick the book up. It's about this, like, obviously a geek who ends up becoming a runway model. And then the next one is Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I read one of her books and then I saw this and I thought I should pick it up. It's her Dreamland Billionaires series, and I don't actually know too much about it. Now, the next two are in a series that I think I read like maybe one chapter of, and then I ended up putting it down for some reason. It's the Shatter Me book series. So I have Shatter Me and I have Unravel Me, which are dystopian, young adult dystopian. And I have Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson, which, I mean, the title alone is captivating. Now I have The God of Endings by Jacqueline Holland. And I think this was a Barnes and Noble Book of the Month pick, and then it was on sale, so I ended up picking it up. I'm not entirely sure what this is about. It says, Colette is a lonely artist who heads an elite fine arts school for children in upstate New York. Her youthful beauty masks the dark truth of her life. She has endured centuries of turmoil and heartache in the wake of her grandfather's long ago decision to make her immortal like himself. Is this another vampire book? If you've read this book and you liked it or you have any thoughts on it at all, please let me know in the comments. Then I have Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I think I picked this up like during a summertime thinking it might be like a fun romance book to read. Because I think they're at a summer camp. Yeah. I mean, it says it's about Russ and Aurora, and they run into each other at their new jobs at summer camp as summer camp counselors. Then I have Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I've heard conflicting reviews on this one. I'm not even going to attempt to say the name. It says she loves her valley home in a quiet village, but corrupted woods stand on the border, full of malevolent power, and its shadow lies over her. Her people rely on the cold, driven wizard known only as the Dragon to keep the wood's dark forces at bay, but he demands a terrible price for his assistance. Every 10 years, one woman must be handed over to serve him without question. And then I've got Girl Abroad by Elle Kennedy, another Elle Kennedy book. I really don't even know what this one's about, except that she goes abroad. It says, these small exchanges that keep my head in a fog, the small expressions of his desire, it does a number on me. Everyone loves a secret. It says, 19-year-old Abby Bly goes to study abroad in London. That must have been why I picked it up, because I really love England. Don't fall. Now, for this next one, I am way behind the times on this one. It's Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I feel like this is one of those books that gets so much hype on it that I'm scared to pick it up. But if you have any thoughts, please let me know. You think it's like I should pick it up right away. I have Check and Meet by Allie Hazelwood, which I think is a young adult romance. Is it one of her only young adult romances? But it's obviously about two chess rivals. Okay, now I have XOXO. In the little blurb that's on the top says, a dreamy dose of K-pop idols and secret romances. I love K-dramas and K-pop so much. So this was like a definitely I needed to put on my TBR. I knew that for sure. And then I have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, which is another young adult romance. And I loved her other book, better than the movies, which I also have over there because I just didn't know where to put it. Okay, it says after living through a dumpster fire of Valentine's Day, Emily escapes to her grandmother's house for much needed girl talk and companionship. There, Emily passes out on the couch, but when she wakes up, she's back home in her bed. That's not the only shocker, though. Somehow it's Valentine's Day. Again. It's like Groundhog's Day, the movie, but young adult and Valentine's Day. I have Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb. And this is about humans and dragons. It says long ago, humans betrayed dragons, stealing their magic and banishing them to a dying world. Centuries later, their descendants worship dragons as gods. But the gods remember. Of course they do. It says, and they do not forget. Obviously, they're not going to forget. Then I've got Malice by John Gwynne. This is also on the 26 books I want to get to, 2026. It is a thick one, though. Look at that. Okay, we're making headway. We've got Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I've read 3 other Elsie Silver books. I've got Flawless, Heartless, and Powerless, her Chestnut Springs series, which are cowboy romances. I think these are still cowboy romances. And it's her first book in the Rose Hill series. And I picked it up because I was in that era at the time. And then I've got What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther, which is a young adult romance, I think. It says, the game is almost afoot. Will you join my band of fools? Lily Hopper has 2 more weeks until she's officially finished with boarding school. So it's also kind of academia. With graduation quickly approaching, Lily is worried that she's somehow missed out on the fun of being in high school. So when she receives a mysterious note inviting her to join the anonymous senior class jester and executing the end of year prank, Lily sees her chance to put her goody two shoes reputation behind her. That's cute. I have Apprentice to the Villain, which is the second book in the Assistant to the Villain. Then I have Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Lori Gilmore. I read her other book, The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and I mean, it was a fast read. It was cute, but the mystery in it wasn't like super great. So I think that one was like a 2-star for me, and it made me a little nervous with these other ones. And then I have The Story Collector by Evie Woods. I don't really know too much about this. It just says, in a quiet village in Ireland, a mysterious local myth is about to change everything. And another Rebecca Ross book. We've got A River Enchanted. And I think this is this a duology? I think this might be a duology. I'll have to look it up. It says, it starts with a letter, an ominous journey across dark waters. 10 years after being sent away to the mainland to become a bard, Jack Tamerlane is summoned home to Cadence. Girls are going missing from the island, and Adira, his childhood nemesis and the future leader of the clan, believes Jack is the only one who can find them. And then I've got another Tracy Wolf book, Crave, which I think is actually a big series. Well, this is the first book. And it says, my whole world changed when I stepped inside the academy. Nothing is right about this place or the other students in it. Here I am, a mere mortal among gods or monsters. I still can't decide which of these warring factions I belong to, if I belong at all. I only know that one thing unites them is their hatred of me. Well, this is vampire. There's vampires. I do really like the picture in here. I think that's the academy there in the mountains. Then I've got Snow Globe by So Young Park, which I talked about in my 26 books I want to read in 2026. It's kind of like Hunger Games meets Squid Games, I think. And then I've got The Choosing by Raquel Decker. This has been on my TBR for a little while, but I'm really excited to get to it. It says, they told her being chosen was all that mattered, that it would secure her future, her worth, that not being chosen would yield a cruel fate. Like all citizens since the ruining, Kerrigan Hale knows the importance of this day, but she never expected the moment she spent a lifetime preparing for, her choosing ceremony, to end in disaster. Ripped from her family, she'll spend her days living as a Lind, the lowest level of society, because she knows it's her duty to follow the way of the authority. I love that. It's like another dystopian and choosing ceremony that kind of reminds me of like the selection a little bit. But Cover looks so gorgeous. I love that. Raquel Decker's dad, Ted Decker, and I've read a bunch of his books too. So I've actually read another one of her books. I think she wrote with her dad. I'm pretty sure it was The Girl Behind the Red Rope, which was another dystopian book. And that one was really, really interesting. So I have really high hopes for this one, actually. I have another nonfiction, Bob Dylan's Chronicles, Volume 1. I also got this one after the Bob Dylan movie. And I have Society of Lies by Lauren Ling Brown. It says, how far would you go to belong? Maya has returned to Princeton for her 10-year college reunion. She's looking forward to seeing old faces and reminiscing about her time there, as well as attending her younger sister Naomi's graduation. What should have been a dream weekend becomes her worst nightmare when she learns that Naomi is dead. Another mystery thriller novel. And now I have A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. This one I picked up right after I watched the show because I fell in love with the show so much and the actors that were in it. And I knew I had to pick this book up. Vampires. Again. And now I have another Stephanie Garber book. I have Once Upon a Broken Heart. This is actually one of my students' favorite books. And I had it on my TBR already. And then the one student, she is always talking about it. So I'm definitely interested in picking this one up. I think it's interconnected with her Carvel trilogy, which I do own, and I've read the first two books of that. But I thought I should finish that one before I get to this series. And then I have the classic Slaughterhouse-Five. I don't know a lot about this one. I knew that I wanted to read it. Let's see, it says, centering on the infamous firebombing of Dresden, Billy Pilgrim's odyssey through the time reflects the mystic journey of our own fractured lives as we search for meaning in what we fear most. Very interesting cover. And then I have The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane by Julia Noble. This is a younger read. I used to teach third and fourth and fifth and sixth grade English. And so I did pick up a lot more of the younger books to kind of read them and see if they would be interesting to suggest to students. But also, this just seems really interesting. It says, beware the order of Black Hollow Lane. With a dad who disappeared years ago and a mother who's a bit too busy to parent, Emmy is shipped off to Wellsworth, a prestigious boarding school in England where she's sure she won't fit in. Before she leaves, Emmy finds a box of mysterious medallions in the attic of her home, medallions that belong to her father who may have gone to Wellsworth. I think it's also secret society, dark academia, middle grade, I think. And I have the manga Spy Family. This is just the first one. I have the other ones on my TBR, but they're not in here with me. But this is the one I actually have read. I'm just using it as like a stand-in. And then I have J.R.R. Tolkien's A Secret Vice, Tolkien on Invented Languages. Now, because I went back to college for English and linguistics, this one really caught my eye because his language inventions were insane. It says Tolkien's linguistic invention was fundamental to his artistic output, to the extent that he would attribute the existence of his mythology to the desire to give his languages a home and people to speak them. I love the study of languages. I just think that it's amazing. And so this one definitely caught my eye. Oh, I don't know why this one wasn't with the other one. It's The Gingerbread Bakery by Lori Gilmore. It should go with the other one. Okay, we're getting to the bottom. We've got another J.R.R. Tolkien, The Lost Road and Other Writings, A History of Middle-earth. Yeah, I'm a huge J.R.R. Tolkien fan. I've read The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and some of his other smaller books. And so I have other ones that I want to get to, but these two ones are on my physical TBR. As well as C.S. Lewis. I love his writing so much. I read all of the Narnia series, and then he has a space trilogy too. The Paralandra, I read those. And then I have The Abolition of Man, which I was seeing this everywhere not too long ago, and I knew I wanted to pick it up and check it out. And then I've got The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And this one has definitely been on my TBR for quite some time. I don't even know what it's about, but maybe that's good. Maybe I should go into it blind. Oh, wait, it says in school, we learned about the worlds before ours, about the angels and gods that lived in the sky, ruling the earth with kind and loving hands. Some say those are just stories, but I don't believe that. The gods still the gods rule us still. They have come down from the stars, and they are no longer kind. That sounds really interesting. And then this one I did pick up because the movie came out and loved the movie. It's Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. And I know this one's about witches and it's about this young girl who's coming to an age where she has to pick whether she's going to be a light witch or a dark witch, I think. It's like either good or bad. And her family's like crazy. I don't know if the book is like the movie. I just remember in the movie, her family was insane. And then I loved the actor who played her uncle, Jeremy Irons, I think. But that is the end of my entire physical TBR. Hopefully, maybe a goal should be that I get through my actual physical TBR this year, or at least dwindle it down a little bit, because there's no way I'm going to be able to get through 80 books this year. But there are quite a few on here that I forgot I had and actually caught my attention. So I'm excited to try to pick those up if I get the chance to. Anyways, thank you for coming along this journey of every single book on my physical TBR. And if you have any of these books on your TBR, you think that they're good, or if you have any thoughts on any of these, please leave them down in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. Also, what's on your physical TBR? How many books are on your physical TBR? Like, is this crazy? Is mine crazy? Anyways, thank you. Please like, subscribe to my channel for future content.